We didn't play dodgeball.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody to our June 18th Board of Trustees meeting. A roll call, please.
Michael?
Present?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I will handle the fiscal report items, beginning with the meeting minutes of June 5th. Ladies, did you have a chance to review those?
Yes, and I'll move to approve them as read.
I will second. There is a motion on the floor and seconded to approve the trustee meeting minutes from June 5th, 2024. Any discussion?
No.
Roll call, please.
Michael?
Yes?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.
Thank you. Next are the approval of the April 2024 bank reconciliations that you have the opportunity to review.
Yes. I'll move to approve them as presented.
I will second. So there is a motion on the floor and seconded to approve the April 2024 bank reconciliations. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Michael?
Yes?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.
Okay. Next, purchase orders. Same. Have you had the opportunity to review those?
Yes, and I'll move to approve the purchase orders as presented.
And I will second. So there is a motion on the floor and seconded to approve the purchase orders as presented. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Michael?
Yes?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.
And lastly is to pay the bills. Have you had the opportunity to review the bills?
Yes. And I will move to pay the bills as presented.
And I will second. Motion on the floor and seconded to pay the bills. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Michael?
Yes?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I still feel like it's very warm in here. Is it just me, or are you guys comfortable? Okay. Maybe because I ran over here. Okay, moving on to administration, Mr. Myers.
Thank you. First of all, just a quick announcement. Trustee Siamaco is not going to speak much today, so occasionally when she has something to say, she may be writing it down and having me say it for her. Be my first chance to be able to speak for someone like that. You know, so that might happen. So just so you know, that's why the soft yeses and no's. For administrative, the first thing I bring up is a resolution prohibiting adult use cannabis operators, cultivation, dispensing, and processing. In 2018, the trustees did medical marijuana, and trustees across all the counties are looking at whether they want to allow this or not. And in order to prohibit it, you need to do it on the adult use side as well, not just medical. So I present you with a motion to do that.
All right. I will move to approve Resolution 2024-18, prohibiting adult use cannabis operators, cultivation, dispensing, and processing pursuant to sections 3796.29 and 3780.25 of the Ohio Revised Code.
I'll second.
There is a motion on the floor and seconded to approve Resolution 2024-18. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote, please.
Michael?
Yes?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.
Thank you.
Over the last couple meetings we about aggregation, electric aggregation, natural gas aggregation, as well as joining SOPEC, the Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council. So what I'm asking you to do to begin to go on the ballot to offer an opt-out aggregation program for electric, an opt-out aggregation program for natural gas, as well as to enter the SOPEC consortium.
Okay, the first is Resolution 2024-19, the electric service opt-out aggregation, and I will move to authorize necessary to effect an opt-out electric service aggregation program pursuant to Section 4928.20 of the Ohio Revised Code, directing the township to submit a resolution to the electors as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor and seconded to approve Resolution 2024-19. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote, please.
Heickel?
Yes?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Pimaco?
Yes.
Okay, next is Resolution 2024-20, the national opt-out aggregation. And I will also move to authorize all actions to effect an opt-out natural gas service aggregation pursuant to Section 4928-20 of the Ohio Revised Code, directing the township to submit a ballot question to the electors as presented. And there is motion on the floor and seconded for Resolution 2024-20. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Heickel?
Yes?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Pimaco?
Thank you. And lastly is Resolution 2024-21 to enter the Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council. The acronym that we use is SOPEC. So I will move to authorize the township to enter into the Sustainable Ohio Public Energy Council, SOPEC, delivery of the agreement establishing SOPEC, and approving the bylaws of SOPEC as presented.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion on the floor and seconded to approve Resolution 2024-21. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Heickel?
Yes?
Shidaberry?
Yes.
Pimaco?
Yes. Thank you. So what will happen is I'll work with that group to get the language created for the ballot, for the voters to be able to vote on that. And then they'll provide us with educational materials and things that we can get out to the folks as well, further explaining the program. Again, it is an opt-out, so people have the ability to either do it or not do it. So I think it's a good thing. Next up, I don't have any action for you, but one of the items I did want to have you discuss would be fireworks. So fireworks discussion. I know there was some discussion about that in the last meetings. I'd like to see where you guys stand on that.
Okay, I'll start that. Ladies, I typed out my notes. I'm just going to share those with you. I'll be reading some of this. Chief Belford's going to also provide some information. So, ladies, I'd like to address you both about fireworks in Blendon Township and see if you want to stay with the current law or that law and ban fireworks. Chief Belford is going to speak to the pros and cons from the enforcement perspective of banning fireworks or following the current state law after I share the rest of my information. I made 4 bullet points of why are fireworks bad. So fireworks can cause air pollution, leaving metal particles, dangerous toxins, harmful chemicals, and smoke in the air for days. Fires can pollute public water supply systems, leaving the water the same. Another reason fireworks are not good for the environment is their effect on the local wildlife. For the most part, fireworks and wildlife don't mix. Most animals will be caught off guard by the bright lights and the loud noises of the fireworks display. These effects can disorient animals, stress them out, and even cause them to flee their habitats. Fireworks, this is my fourth, in the neighborhoods frighten some dogs, they wake sleeping children, and in some cases they can cause PTSD in veterans. So now I have 4 pros, and that has to do with what do fireworks symbolize in America. We have cultural celebrations. Fireworks have been a part of cultural celebrations, especially in China. Fireworks have been part of U.S. Independence Day, which is our anniversary of signing the Declaration of Independence. And while July 4th is still the big day for Americans, they continue to use fireworks year-round to celebrate at festivals, special events, sporting such as the Olympics and even the Super Bowl. And my fourth point is the patriotic pride. Our founding fathers quickly adopted fireworks as a show of patriotic pride. Fireworks have been a staple of Independence Day in the United States since almost the beginning. Visitors come together each Independence Day to celebrate our country, our community, and honor our military veterans. So I gave 4 pros and 4 cons. In July of 2022, Ohio's revised fireworks law changed. Adults can legally use consumer-grade 1.4G fireworks under certain restrictions on date, time, place, and distance of persons and property. However, communities such as townships, they can follow those Ohio guidelines, or they can enact a ban on fireworks. It's either or. So now I'm going to ask Chief Belford to speak. He's on pros and cons from the enforcement perspective of banning fireworks or following the current state law. Chief.
Well, the Board of Trustees, having requested my recommendation on whether or not they should opt out of the current state restrictions on fireworks and instead opt for a local ban or stick with the current law. My recommendation to the Board is to follow the guidelines of the state of Ohio, the current law, the Ohio Attorney General, State Fire Marshal, and I offer the facts and observations in support of my recommendation. Current state law bans the use of consumer-grade fireworks for 349 days of the year. These type of fireworks are only allowed on 16 specific days of the year. Further, only during 7 hours out of every 24 hours during those 16 days are fireworks permissible. That is only 1.2% of the year that consumer-grade fireworks are allowed to be used. Under current state law, fireworks are under a total ban for 98.8% of the year. Several of these dates set aside for the use of fireworks are culturally significant, including Diwali, the Hindu Festival of Lights, Chinese New Year, Juneteenth, and Cinco de Mayo, as well as patriotic days significant to many Americans. Specifically, as a practical matter for law enforcement, current state law provides for a flexible response with multiple options. These options would be limited under a total ban. For example, on Independence Day, police departments are deluged with calls of fireworks complaints. Most are noise complaints, but a few do involve potential property damage or injury. Property damage and injury would be priority runs, and noise complaints would be secondary runs. It is difficult for officers to get to all of these complaints, but we attempt to do so. Often the activity is ceased by the time law enforcement arrives. Upon arrival, law enforcement officers can advise users if they are outside of guidelines, quickly ensure that corrective action is taken, and then move on to another complaint. Officers will typically impound fireworks from intoxicated persons or juveniles. Fireworks may be returned as lawful property to the juvenile's parents. Under current state law, property can be transferred from an intoxicated person to a sober person, relieving the officer the obligation to impound the fireworks. Issuing a citation also requires the officer to impound the fireworks as evidence, significant second and third order effects. The fireworks must be retained for evidence if a criminal violation has been cited. There is no approved storage facility for explosive items or hazardous materials available to our police department. The fireworks can simply not be destroyed if a citation has been issued. They are needed for evidence at trial. If the person who is charged is acquitted, then we are required to return that property to the lawful owner. Every time an officer stops responding to this stack of pending complaints to spend more time issuing a citation, impounding property, including transporting that property to a safe storage location, they are not responding to the other firearms complaints they're stacking up. This means that officers could spend an inordinate amount of time dealing with a fireworks complaint that is not particularly hazardous, while possibly not getting to the other complaints where juveniles or intoxicated persons might have been subject to police intervention and potential injury prevention. We want to try to get to all the fireworks complaints and spend time on the more hazardous issues. A total ban during peak usage time can be expected to slow response and likely reduce the effectiveness of that response. Based on my 40 years of experience in law enforcement, I believe that a township resolution banning fireworks would most likely be followed by most responsible adults. These are the same adults who are already following state guidelines. I am not so optimistic as to believe that individuals who are currently violating state law would be inclined to suddenly start following the restrictions of a township resolution. As your chief of police, I can assure the board that the Blendon Township Police Department will respond faithfully and energetically to whichever path forward is determined by our Board of Trustees.
Thank you. So, ladies, I wish I had more time to think about it, but I don't. So I'm going to ask for a motion to see if you want to stay with the current law or move for a ban.
Madam Chair, can I speak for Trustee Siamaco?
Oh, yes.
She
Of
asked me.
course.
Okay. Handwriting. Although I do agree with what Trustee Heichel said, this is a national holiday that we are coming up on. And if my options were a total ban or following the current state of Ohio guidelines, I move that we follow the current state of Ohio guidelines.
That's the total ban.
This is the total ban.
Those are our options. Total ban.
Actually, on the opting out, communities can do other restrictions, like some communities have changed those hours slightly. There's a lot of other things they can do, which sends you down, once you opt out, it sends you down the pathway to totally restructure this, send it in. It has to be approved. There has to be a county court of common pleas fee schedule and an assignment of violations. If you go along with the state law, our officers can show up. If they're outside of those state guidelines, we can cite them under state law currently. To do anything other than, or even a total ban, the township would have to follow the procedure. I spoke to the chief at Madison Township. He said it's about a 6 to 9 month procedure that has several approval steps along the way to even begin to start enforcing any of your own regulations that are different than the state. That would most likely incur, using the township attorneys to craft that language and shepherd that legislation through the process. If you want to do anything other than stay with the state law. If the township decides to stay with the state law, no action is necessary, and our officers can enforce under the Ohio Revised Code immediately.
So,
Can you restate the
You want to read it all? Although I do agree with what Trustee Jan Heichel said, this is a national holiday coming upon us. If my options are a total ban or following the current state of Ohio guidelines, I move to follow the current state of Ohio guidelines.
Okay, so the motion was before.
I will second. So there is a motion on the floor and seconded to approve Resolution 2024-22 to have Blendon Township follow the current Ohio guidelines for discharge of fireworks. Any discussion? Further discussion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Oh, you did this. She
Just-
seconded. Jan seconded.
Oh, Jan second, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Well, I too am torn. I understand that fireworks can be an issue for veterans who have PTSD. I have a son in the Air Force and he's been deployed. I understand that and some of the other cons that Trustee Heichel gave. However, there are a lot of holidays that fireworks are a part of, that were read off, and I think that those people have a right to celebrate. We just got done celebrating Flag Day on the 14th. I mean, I proudly stand and recite the pledge whenever we have the chance to do that. And Independence Day is to celebrate our independence from Great Britain. And Chief Belford already stated the enforcement perspective, so those are my comments before the vote.
Okay. Well, I also, I'm torn because I do believe fireworks can cause air pollution. It can pollute the water. It has effect on the wildlife and, of course, in our neighborhoods where people get upset. But I'm a proud American, and I do believe that people should celebrate. I do, but I wish they wouldn't celebrate in the neighborhoods. So, any more discussion? Call for the vote?
Heigl?
No.
Shineberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.
Okay. Motion
Thank you for
carried.
that. Next on the list, where's my agenda? What do with my agenda? That's all right. Would ask that you accept the donations from the concert series of 615.
So moved.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor and seconded to accept the concert donations from June 15th. The total amount was $320. Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the vote.
Heigl?
Yes?
Shineberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
The last thing on my agenda for administration is a zoning commission recommendation discussion. There has been some zoning discussions in a particular part of the township. There's been a BZA hearing on them, and it entails the 40-foot lot versus the 60-foot lot zoning that's in place today. If it's a desire of the township to even consider looking at changing the zoning resolution to allow that, that would need to start with a consensus of the board to direct Adam and staff to go to the zoning commission and ask them to start that process. Julie Donnan said that would be the way to do it. So while there's no additional motion needed or anything tonight, we would ask that you at least give us consensus as staff to go forward to the commission and ask them to start that process. So I just need a consensus of the board to do that, and we will move forward.
Yes?
And when I say move forward, I mean move forward starting the process, not to change the zoning
Yes.
resolution.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have from an administrative point of view. And from a human resources point of view, nothing to report tonight. No changes tonight.
Okay, let's go to our service department. Matt?
Nothing to report.
All right, thank you. Chief Belford?
Yes, we received two compliments on two separate actions taken by our officers. Residents of Westerville emailed me to thank Sergeant Moynihan, Officer Carty, and Officer Reese, and Officer Boren for their exceptional response to a series of scam attempts against a family member who lives in the township. They said our team not only stopped any further monetary loss, but also made contact with one of the scammers, preventing an additional $4,000 loss, and brought in social services to assist their family member with other issues that were causing them to be susceptible to these type of scams. And they wrote a very nice, very long letter thanking our team for that. We received also a compliment on Officer Moeller's action. Residents said that Officer Moeller came out when they had a flat tire and were forced to stop on the expressway on 161. We were terrified that we would be rear-ended. He was incredibly kind and helped us get back on the road safely. He's a wonderful officer who truly made a difference in our lives. Thank you, Officer Moeller, for keeping our family safe. You are a gem. This person also then brought some custom-made Blendon Township cookies to the police station to thank us. Those are the two compliments we received since the last Board of Trustees meeting. Also want to let the board know that the social media awareness campaign for fireworks is ready to launch on Monday the 24th. It includes these, it's not just social media, it's also officer flyers. So public service social media will go up on Instagram and Facebook with pictures like these, similar messaging to follow state guidelines, and a link to the State Fire Marshal's Office for a more detailed listing of those guidelines. All officers have been out for about a week with these flyers in their cruisers. Any fireworks complaints that they go on, these give additional information, and the link to the State Fire Marshal's website. These are given to callers, witnesses, and the actual users of the fireworks. So they're handing these out, and they will be through the last day of the Independence Day weekend. And the social media campaign will start Monday the 24th and run through the Independence Day weekend. That is all I have tonight.
Okay, thank you. Back to you, Pat.
Thank you. So we come to the public comment portion of the meeting. As always, we welcome public comment and wish to convey that message to everyone. We value your views and appreciate your feedback. This is your chance to share compliments, concerns, or any thoughts you wish to express. Public comment will be for a period not to exceed 30 minutes per meeting. Residents or guests wishing to speak will be required to sign in on the sign-in sheet, which everybody's done, provided. Each person will be given 3 minutes to express their compliment or concern. We do have a timer here that Mr. Newman will take care of for us. While this portion isn't a Q&A session, any inquiries can be directed to me, Pat Myers, at pmyers@blendonTWP.org. Each person will be called to the podium in order listed on the sign-in sheet. Yielding of time to another person is not permitted. Respectful communication from the floor to the board to the floor is always a must. If a person is not able to comment during the 30-minute time limit, they will be asked to email their compliment or concern to, again, me, the administrator, Pat Myers, at pmyers@blendonTWP.org. So we have we have about 4 folks that want to speak tonight, and Ronald Ducey is first.
Thank you very much, Mr. Myers, and to the trustees, and to Adam, the zone officer, for your attention in the matter of 250 Covage Road and the nuisance abatement. I was asked to help Alice, the owner of the property, to create a native garden, one that includes native plants, pollinators, and so forth, flowers on the property. I have experience with that, and have controlled invasives over a 100-acre property, and also created wildflower areas as well. And I sent you some photos of some of those areas. As I drive throughout Blendon Township, I say to myself, what's the difference between what we're doing and what I'm seeing in gardens for now? Because there are lots of other gardens. Granted, smaller, but not that much smaller than the area that she has. And one of the things I've noticed is that she's just getting started, from the standpoint that we start by doing the inventory of what we have already, because we don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. Now, we're not interested in long grasses like the European grasses that are there now any more than anyone else is. However, within those grasses, there are jewels. For example, ironweed, which is called a weed, but it's also called Verania. It's a beautiful wildflower with purple flowers, and others that we found, hundreds of those that they sell. If you want to buy them at Scioto Gardens, will cost you $15.99 each, and we have over 100 growing just by letting them grow. Without letting that grass grow initially, we would not find that out. We would also not learn that we have innumerable number of flowers that you saw on the list on the plan that we gave you are all existing. They aren't necessarily where we want them to be ideally, but some can be transplanted. So the point is, it's like a work in progress. And as you know, in a construction area, a beautiful house doesn't look beautiful in the beginning when it's under construction. And this particular garden is under construction in that regard. We have invasives that we want to control and adapt with the natural environment and watch that ebb and change over time. We would like to see the nuisance abatement either set aside or give us a break to continue.
So, Mr. Dillon, that's 3 minutes.
I'm showing 14 seconds if you don't mind. Matt, one more sentence, please. Okay, thank you. Is that our efforts are definitely intentional, managed, planned, a cultivating activity. There's no natural streets there, and we believe that we squarely fall under the guidelines we were told that you use, which is 302.4, and therefore really we fall under gardening, fall under gardening in that regard. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we would invite you, if you want to come out to the site, to look at it for yourselves as if you happen to do so.
Thank you.
Next on the list, Leah Atkins. Excuse me.
Do I need to state my address?
Sure.
I'm at 3558 Rangoon. In light of Pollinator Week and of some of the recent statements about updating our nuisance code enforcement, you will qualify as a violation. As a native plant advocate, conservationist, and environmental healer, I would simply ask that those who have experience in the native plant world have a seat at the table as these possible changes in verbiage and implementation occur. I would like to see our leaders, especially those enforcing the code, to receive at least some official education in native plant management and its importance as we try to link with other communities to make Blendon Township part of the pollinator pathway so many surrounding communities are working to implement. Our insects need plants that are not going to look like a modern yard will look. They may grow tall, flop over, grow in a chaotic way as they would in the wild. This does not make them less acceptable to our pollinators, only to the recent human aesthetic of perfectly manicured. Do manicured yards look beautiful? Absolutely. But so do properties containing native plants, especially if you know what you're looking for. As an aside, even if you don't know what you're looking for, the thousands of fireflies I now watch dance in the sky over our native planted yard when a mere decade ago there were none is sufficient evidence for me of its importance. Our pollinators deserve a place in our community, and as I have said 1,000 times and will continue to say thousands more, if the insects go, we go. Our insects, we may be at the top of the food web, but our insects make up the much wider base of that web, and we are without question in the midst of an insect apocalypse. That mass extinction is in part due to a loss of vital habitat. We must provide them the vegetation they need, host plants they need for survival of their species. Plants which are not native to our area, like hostas and snowball hydrangea, will not accomplish what they need. Ultimately, what we need. Simply put, they need the plants they need, and it would not be wise to enact codes which make it more difficult for our largest amount of land, that which is privately owned, to provide them that habitat. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Next on the list, Alice Ford.
Good evening, I'm Alice Fuller, the owner and resident of 7250 Cabbage Road. Trustees, township staff, residents, thank you. I want to acknowledge the trustees for being open and curious and collaborative on the issue of my property. That's a rare trait these days, and it's been great for me to do more research and learn, and it's been great having the trustees be open to that as well in terms of what we can all do for the greater good of the township's air, water, and soil. And I'm excited to see what the township comes up with in terms of modernizing the code to affirm the value of wildflowers and pollinators. And happy Pollinator Week to everyone. I'm wearing my butterflies today. I was out in the front today, enjoying the tall grass and the 90 degrees, and I took a step and stuff jumped. And I was like, oh boy, what moved? And I got down with my app on my phone and identified a little native green-winged grasshopper. And so that's just one of the little critters that inhabits this stuff, and we'd like to put more stuff. So as we've been reviewing some of the codes and the ordinances of different cities and municipalities, certainly none of them have required individual property owners to prepare landscape plans and have them approved. So we hope you'll recognize that we're going above and beyond in the information that we sent, and we appreciate that in the spirit of cooperation, and that you all have put out the olive branch. And so we're stepping up and doing a lot of work to show you what our plans are. And so my only call to action this evening would be to have some sort of action to let us off the hook with the resolution, so that we can go ahead and put some more flowers and get on with our plans, because we'd really like to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And lastly on the list, Christy Meyer.
Trustees, fiscal officer, Mr. Myers, team. I just wanted to take a moment and thank you all for adopting the resolution to put clean energy and natural gas aggregation on the ballot for the voters, and also joining Supply, which has a mission that's near and dear to my heart, a cleaner, greener future, for sure. This does provide an opportunity for all of us that can't afford to maybe put solar on our house to use renewable energy, and we know that the demand for green energy is skyrocketing, and so it'll continue to get cheaper. As a last parting note, though, I would say, as a conservation environmentalist myself, as we update the code for our plants, I would really encourage us and employ in us to consider using and encouraging native plants in our district. Thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Chairperson.
I'd like to, before we start our trustee comments, put another item of business.
Okay.
And make a motion to rescind the nuisance resolution. Do you know the resolution number?
124-17.
Okay, so I know, apologize, ladies, you didn't have this on your agenda to think about it, but I would like to make a motion to rescind nuisance resolution 2024-17, which would stop the lawnmowers from going in and let them proceed with the plans that they presented to us. Okay, there's a motion on the floor and seconded to rescind NU 2024-17, which is stopping the mowing from us on 7250 Cubbage Road. Is that the right address?
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question, and based on this plan that we received this morning, would we be able to ask for amendments to it?
We can, we don't.
The answer would be yes, as a board. That is a presentation by them on what their plan is, but you have the ability to, through Adam, communicate to them, this will work, this won't, this.
Okay.
If we're gonna change code, it's a collaborative effort to do that. It's not just a plan and we're gonna implement that plan. I think it's a process, it's a conversation between leadership and the trustees and the residents.
And that can be done, yes, but I wanted to stop the mowing from coming in, to let them proceed with what they're passionate about, and we understand now, we get it.
Can I help answer that question?
Not right now, but we'll let you later. Okay, so roll call, please.
Heigl?
Yes?
Shidaberry? Yes. Siamaco?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now we will move on to the trustee comments. I'll begin.
Yay. Thank you.
but thank you for what you're doing. Trustee comments, we had our first summer concert of the season at Ridgewood Park. It was a success. We gave away over 800, not over, 800 grilled hot dogs that Matt cooked. Did you cook them all? You cooked all 800 hot dogs? Chips, fruit punch. We had a band that everybody seemed to enjoy. We had face painting for the kids, 2 bounce houses, volleyball and soccer. It warmed my heart to see the families playing in the playground area with the kids. The weather was very favorable. It was a great time for all, and just wanted to share that. Kathy?
Yeah, I have several comments. Chief Belford, it was great to see the officer compliments, and I was actually able to personally thank Officer Moeller at the concert in the park. I think we are encouraged every time we get those and realize what a great police department that we have. So thank you for sharing those, and please pass on that to keep up the good work. The service department did a great job setting up, tearing down, grilling hot dogs and everything. To kind of piggyback on what Trustee Heichel said, we could not pull the concert off without the service department. So kudos to you guys too. They did a great job. It was a big success. And to further piggyback on that, after being asked by Sunbury Woods residents over the years to have an event in their subdivision, we're pleased to be hosting the July concert this year in the Sunbury Woods Common area. I have made a map with all 6 entry points to the common area, and we will be posting that on the township website and the Facebook groups. Parking is on the streets. Marquee 66 will be the band. There will still be bounce houses, face painters, all the wonderful things that Trustee Heichel named off. Please call the township if you have any questions. Just wanted to remind you that there is a change of location just for the July concert. So we hope to see you all there in the Sunbury Woods Common area on July 13th. Next is Lori Mann, one of our residents who happens to be in attendance tonight, said she was contacted by Franklin County Soil and Water about replacing the no dumping signs on storm sewer covers in the township, since she had done a similar project a long time ago, and there are now new signs available. Lori contacted Blendon Township to gain permission and had some volunteers help her start the project. The trustees applied signs to the whole Sunbury Woods subdivision, and then the service department helped the trustees complete the rest of the township. So to the best of our knowledge, the whole township is now sporting the new signs. So thank you, Lori, for getting the project started, and also to your helpers. With all of us working together, we got it done before the heat wave hit. So, and lastly, I am pleased to announce that we now have a fully compliant ADA swing in one of our township parks. At a previous meeting, the trustees appropriated funding for this as one of our ARPA fund projects. So with guidance from Sue Matthews, a Huber Ridge resident who works with ADA compliance for the Ohio State University, she also happens to be on our Parks Advisory Committee, a swing was purchased and the service department installed it and the compliant path leading to it at Phelps Acre Park, which Sue said would be the best park for it since it's already so level. So I would like to thank my fellow trustees for agreeing to add a swing that can provide adaptive and inclusive fun for those who are disabled. And as Sue described it, she said, you know, for a child who just sits in a wheelchair all day, to be able to be put in a swing and have that flying through the air motion is just the greatest thing to them. And so I'm just so pleased that we now have an ADA swing in our township. So that's all my announcements.
Okay, so I'm gonna give a few comments for Trustee Siamaka. First off, back to 7250 Coverage Road and that whole issues about that whole discussion. She says, I visited Alice and Ron's property multiple times since the last trustee meeting, and have a new respect and understanding for what they and others across our nation are attempting to accomplish. Both Adam Sears and I have researched this feverishly over the last few weeks. Our hope is to establish a mutually beneficial and accepted practice for our township, which will most likely be used in other areas around the state, as we've discovered the issue is new to many of the people we have spoken with. We are all learning and simply cannot create new regulations and codes overnight. I would say, however, it feels like it went from elementary school right into a doctorate's program when it comes to native and biodiverse gardening from everything I've learned over the past few weeks. I've spoken with and or met with several different entities. Franklin County Water and Sewer, the water resource specialist there, Henry Stahl, watershed resource specialist, Assistant Director Kyle Wilson, and urban conservatist David Reuter. Also spoke with Rick Gardner, Chief Botanist with ODNR, and left messages awaiting to hear back from Chief Johnson and ODNR Division of Natural Areas and Preserves. Also left messages with the Ohio Department of Agriculture for a list of noxious weeds and invasives. Adam Sears has contacted the Franklin County Health Department and fire chiefs about setbacks needed from homes and waste treatment systems. I researched, and Adam has spoke with Poland Village in Ohio, the administration there, who also improved natural lawns with stipulations in May of 2024. So that's just a comment about what we're doing, what the trustees have done with stopping the nuisance abatement and looking to move forward with it. So, and then the second comment is, although I have attended many of the summer concert series over the years, this was my first time as a trustee. I loved it and had so much fun meeting all of you. Thank you so much for your kind words, support, and encouragement. It meant a lot to me. Anything else? That's Trustee Siamaka's comments. Not nearly as eloquent as she would have put it, but I'm done.
I would like to add one more comment. I'm learning also about the sustainability. I joined the Sustainable Westerville Facebook group before I even met you because I was learning, and I know it's not the best, the best source probably to learn this, but I am learning a lot from it, and I'm continuing to research, to learn, and I get it now. After Delina visiting you several times and sharing with us and Adam and what we've read, what we've learned, I understand it. We need to educate our community because when they report to us, we address all of the complaints, so, okay? All right. So a quick announcement will be our next meeting. We'll be back to a Wednesday. I think it's Wednesday, July 2nd.
On the calendar, it's Tuesday the 2nd.
It's a Tuesday, I'm sorry. Tuesday again because of July 4th. It will be July the 2nd, same time, which is 6:30 p.m. in the same location. So next we're going to go into an executive session. You're welcome to stay. I can't say because I don't know if there will be further business when we come out of executive session, but it is 7:18. And I will move to adjourn into executive session at 7:18 p.m. pursuant to Ohio Revised Code 121.22G4, preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with public employees concerning their compensation or other terms and conditions of their employment.
I'll second.
There is a motion on the floor and seconded to adjourn into executive session. Call for the vote, please.
Heickel?
Yes?
Shineberry?
Yes.
Siamaco?
Yes.